Hell has no concept of silence. It breathes in the roar of flames, in the grinding of bone against stone, in the screams of the damned echoing through corridors that twist beyond mortal comprehension. And in the heart of this infernal labyrinth, where reality itself bleeds and writhes, one figure moves with absolute, undeniable purpose. The Doomslayer. He does not speak. He does not hesitate. His armor, scarred by eons of violence, reflects the crimson glow of Hell's eternal furnaces as he tears through demon flesh with mechanical precision. Each movement is economy incarnate, a shotgun blast that removes a skull, a fist that crushes a ribcage, boots that crush smoldering remains into ash. The demons surge toward him in waves, driven by instinct and hatred, and he meets them with something far simpler. An endless, silent fury that has burned since the moment Hell took everything from him.
But tonight, something is different.
Deep within the necropolis, a citadel of tortured souls and blasphemous architecture, the cultists of a forgotten order perform their final ritual. They chant in languages that predate human civilization, languages that should not exist, and their voices weave together into a singular purpose: to tear open the veil between dimensions.
They do not know what they seek.
They only know that their masters demand it. The Slayer senses the disturbance before he sees it.
A shift in the air.
A tremor that is not merely physical but ontological, a warning that reality itself is about to fracture. He turns, and there it is, a wound in space, jagged and bleeding light that should not exist. The demons flee from it.
Even Hell recoils. And then the ritual detonates.
The explosion is not fire or force, it is unmaking. The walls of the necropolis peel away like skin, revealing a swirling void of impossible colors. The Slayer braces himself, but there is nothing to brace against. The portal does not pull him, it erases the ground beneath his feet, and he falls into a cascade of screaming light. Across the infinite gulf of realities, in a realm where snow falls eternally and the gods themselves walk among mortals, another warrior fights his own war. Kratos, the Ghost of Sparta, stands atop a cliff overlooking a frozen wasteland. His breath mists in the cold air, but he does not feel it. He has walked through Helheim. He has felt the grip of Hades. Cold is just another enemy that refuses to kill him. Before him, a primordial being rises from the earth, a creature born when the 9 realms were young, a titan of stone and ice and ancient wrath. It roars, and the sound shatters glaciers. It swings a fist the size of a longhouse, and Kratos meets it with the Leviathan axe. The impact echoes across Midgard. Kratos does not fight with desperation. He fights with discipline earned through centuries of bloodshed, through the murder of gods, through the weight of his own cursed existence. The blades of chaos ignite in his hands, their chains singing as they wrap around the Titan's arm. He pulls, muscles straining, and the creature stumbles. But the primordial is not merely physical. It is essence raw, elemental fury given form. And when Kratos strikes its core, when the Leviathan axe bites deep into its chest, something unexpected happens.
The Titan does not die.
It explodes. Not into flesh or stone, but into pure energy, a burst of divine power so immense that it rips through the fabric of reality itself. Kratos sees the sky tear open, sees a wound identical to the one forming in Hell, and he understands with terrible clarity that he has triggered something far beyond his control. The energies collide across dimensions. Hell's corruption meets divine might. 2 impossible forces, never meant to coexist, slam together in a cataclysm that rewrites the laws of existence.
And both warriors are pulled through.
The sensation is beyond pain. It is dissolution, the feeling of being unmade and remade in the same instant. Doomguy falls through a kaleidoscope of screaming faces, through landscapes of bleeding geometry, through the raw substance of nightmare itself. Kratos tumbles through visions of his past, the ashes of his family, the throne of Olympus, the eyes of every god he has killed, and then through visions of futures that have not yet come to pass. They fall through the space between spaces, through the cracks in reality where physics is a suggestion and madness is law.
And then they arrive.
The warp.
De Materium.
The Sea of Souls.
It is a realm that exists beyond the material universe, a dimension where emotion becomes substance and thought becomes form. It is the birthplace of demons, the playground of gods, and the graveyard of sanity. Billions of souls swim through its currents, their consciousnesses dissolving into the great psychic ocean. Entire fleets have been lost here, swallowed by storms of pure madness. And into this place, two beings who should never exist here have just arrived. Doomguy awakens first. His armor systems reboot, diagnostics scrolling across his visor. He rises to his feet, or what passes for feet, in a place where gravity is optional. Around him the warp churns, a sky of screaming purple, a ground of shifting flesh, towers of bone that grow and collapse in rhythms that have no pattern. Demons sense him immediately. They pour from the non-Euclidean architecture like locusts, their forms defying description. Too many limbs, eyes where eyes should not be, mouths that speak in frequencies that shatter thought. They see him as prey, as fuel, as a soul to be consumed. They are wrong. The Slayer moves. His shotgun roars, and demons explode into psychic residue.
His fists crush warp stuff as easily as...
The argent energy that powers his armor, energy stolen from hell itself, burns through the demons with absolute permanence.
They do not reform. They do not resurrect.
They simply cease. And the warp notices. Elsewhere in the Imperium, Kratos awakens on an island of crystallized screams. He rises slowly, axe in hand, and surveys his surroundings with the calm of someone who has been to the underworld and returned. This place is different, yes, more chaotic, more alien, but it is still a realm of death and madness.
He has walked through worse. A demon approaches.
It is a thing of brass and blood, its skin etched with runes of violence, its voice a challenge in 1,000 languages simultaneously.
Kratos does not respond with words.
He responds with the blades of chaos. The demon dies.
Permanently.
The blades, forged in the depths of Hades and bound to his flesh by divine curse, cut through warp essence like it is paper. The demon's form collapses, and its soul, of such things have solaces, annihilated. And deep within the warp, in the fortresses where gods dream of conquest, 4 immense presences turn their attention toward these impossible intruders. Khorne, the blood god, feels the violence radiating from both warriors and laughs with joy. Sin-Chi, the architect of fate, probes their futures and finds only static unpredictability incarnate. Slamish, the prince of pleasure, reaches for their souls and finds nothing to grasp, no desire, no weakness. Nurgle, the grandfather of decay, attempts to bless them with corruption and finds his gifts rejected by flesh that refuses to break. 2 souls that should not exist. 2 warriors carved by worlds the chaos gods have never touched. And somewhere in the swirling madness of the Imperium, their paths begin to converge. The warp is not meant to be survived. It is meant to consume, to twist, to dissolve identity until nothing remains but screaming psychic residue. Entire Astartes strike forces have been lost here, their minds shattered by visions too terrible for even gene-enhanced warriors to endure. Navigators go mad simply trying to chart courses through its tides. Saints and psychers alike pray never to gaze too deeply into its depths. But the Doomslayer and Kratos are not navigators.
They are not psychers.
They are not even entirely sane by the standards of their own universes. They are weapons, and the warp is learning too late what that means. The Slayer moves through the Imperium like a storm front, leaving silence in his wake. Demons of every allegiance throw themselves at him, bloodletters with brass swords, plague-bearers oozing pestilence, horrors cackling with sorcerous flame, and he destroys them all with methodical precision.
His super shotgun tears through warp flesh.
His chainsaw reduces greater demons to atoms. The crucible, his energy blade, cuts reality itself, severing the threads that bind demons to existence. What makes the chaos gods falter is not his strength.
It is the permanence of his kill.
In the warp, death is temporary. A demon slain in the Imperium simply returns to the Imperium to reform. But when the Slayer kills, the demons do not return.
They are gone, erased.
The argent energy that courses through his armor, energy refined from the tormented souls of hell, acts as an anathema to warp stuff, burning away not just the body but the essence itself. Khorne watches, and for the first time in eons, the blood god feels something other than rage.
He feels curiosity.
Across a landscape of impossible angles and shifting gravities, Kratos walks through a forest of bleeding trees. The warp attempts to assault his mind with visions: his dead wife, his murdered daughter, the gods he slaughtered across 2 pantheons. He sees them all, and he acknowledges them, and then he keeps walking.
Guilt is an old companion.
He has carried it so long it no longer controls him. A pack of Furies descends from the crimson sky, demonic creatures with too many wings and voices that promise exquisite agony. They circle him like vultures, seeking weakness, probing for the cracks in his psyche that they can exploit.
Kratos stops walking.
He looks up at them with eyes that have stared down Zeus himself.
Come then.
His voice is quiet, but it carries the weight of divine authority, the residual echo of a man who was once a god and chose to abandon that power. The Furies hesitate, and in that moment of hesitation, Kratos strikes. The Leviathan axe flies through the air, trailing frost in its wake. It buries itself in the lead Fury's skull, and the demon shrieks not in pain, but in disbelief. The axe does not merely wound, it unmakes. The demon's form collapses, its essence scattering like ash and wind.
Kratos raises his hand. Vax returns.
The remaining Furies flee. The blades of chaos ignite in his hands, their eternal flames burning brighter in this realm of madness. They were forged by Ares, the Greek god of war, bound to Kratos' flesh as punishment for his sins.
They have tasted the blood of Olympus.
They have been wielded in the murder of pantheons. And now they drink deep of demonic essence, and the warp itself recoils from their bite.
The chaos gods begin to understand.
These warriors are not merely strong. They are antithetical beings from realities where different rules apply, where different powers reign. Their souls burn with frequencies the warp cannot digest. Tzeentch attempts to manipulate fate itself, weaving threads of probability to lead the warriors into traps.
The threads snap.
Their destinies are written in languages the architect cannot read. Slaanesh extends tendrils of temptation, visions of peace, of rest, of worlds where their wars are finished. Both warriors walk past the illusions without breaking stride.
They know peace is a lie.
Nurgle offers his gifts an end to pain, an embrace of entropy, the comfort of decay. Doomguy's armor purges the corruption automatically.
Kratos' divine constitution simply rejects it. Neither man has ever known comfort.
They would not recognize it if it were real. And Khorne, the blood god, simply laughs. He does not try to corrupt them.
He respects them.
2 avatars of violence, so pure, so undiluted, that they need no god to give them purpose. They are violence incarnate, and in a galaxy built on eternal war, that makes them perfect.
But they are not his, and that is unacceptable.
The warp convulses. A massive rift tears open a wound within a wound, and through it comes the first true challenge, a bloodthirster, one of Khorne's greatest champions. It is a demon of impossible size, muscles like braided steel cables, wings that blot out the screaming sky.
Its axe has beheaded saints. Its roar has shattered fortresses. It sees Doomguy, and it charges.
The Slayer does not dodge. He meets the charge head-on, and the impact sends shockwaves through the Imperium. For a moment, they grapple transhuman fury against demonic might. The bloodthirster swings its axe. Doomguy catches the blade with his bare hand. The demon's eyes widen in shock. The Slayer draws the crucible. The energy blade ignites, burning with a light that has no place in the warp. He drives it through the bloodthirster's chest, and the demon screams not in rage, but in genuine terror. It feels itself being erased, its essence burned away, its connection to Khorne severed.
It falls. It does not rise.
And then, across the battlefield, Kratos appears. He walks through a rain of demon blood, axe in one hand, blades in the other. He sees the Slayer standing over the bloodthirster's corpse, and he stops. Two warriors, separated by universes, shaped by different hells, forged in different fires. They should be strangers, but they recognize each other instantly. They have both walked through the underworld. They have both killed gods. They have both been broken by loss and rebuilt by rage. Kratos nods once, a gesture of respect between equals. Doomguy stares back, silent as always, but something in his posture shifts. Acknowledgement. And the warp, for the first time in its eternal existence, feels something very close to fee. The planet is called Tertius IX, a frontier world clinging to the edge of the Imperium like a rust-stained nail embedded in rotting wood. It is not strategic. It is simply there, a manufacturing hub producing munitions for wars fought light years away, populated by billions who will live and die without ever knowing why they matter. But today, Tertius IX matters very much. A chaos incursion has begun. Warp rifts tear open across 3 continents simultaneously, spilling demons and cultists into the streets. The Astra Militarum, the Imperial Guard, responds with the only doctrine they know: overwhelming firepower and acceptable casualties. Las guns flash in the dark. Basilisk cannons roar. Soldiers die by the thousands, their bodies piled as barricades against the tide of madness. And then the sky splits open. 2 meteors fall through the atmosphere, except they are not meteors. They are bodies, encased in fire, trailing warp energy like contrails. They strike the planet miles apart, each impact cratering the Earth with the force of orbital bombardment. The Imperium barely notices. They are too busy dying. In the ruins of Hive Tertius, the 44th Cadian Regiment makes its last stand. They have been fighting for 6 days straight, without sleep, without relief, without hope. The demons pour through the breachways like a tide of claws and teeth and madness. Commissars execute dessert. Priests scream prayer. The line holds by sheer bloody-minded refusal to die. And then he appears. The Doomslayer emerges from the smoke like a figure from mythology, a warrior encased in armor, the likes of which the guardsmen have never seen. It is not Astartes' plate, though it carries the same weight of authority. It is something older, something angrier. Green and bronze and scarred by wars that predate the Imperium itself. A bloodletter charges him, brass sword raised. The Slayer catches its wrist, twists, and removes the demon's arm. The creature has no time to scream before his shotgun removes its head. The guardsmen stare. One of them a corporal with 3 days left until retirement. Not that he knows this finds his voice. Who? The Slayer does not answer. He never does. He simply reloads and walks toward the demon horde. What follows is not a battle. It is an extermination. The Slayer moves through the demon ranks with mechanical efficiency. Each kill precise, each movement economical. His super shotgun removes limbs. His chainsaw reduces plague-bearers to sludge. When a horror attempts to immolate him with warp fire, he walks through the flames and crushes its skull with his bare hands. The guardsmen watch, slack-jawed. They have seen Astartes fight. They have seen Sisters of Battle purge heretics. They have even seen a Primarch once, distant and terrible on a far battlefield. But this is different. This is not noble. This is not heroic. This is extermination as an art form, violence so pure and undiluted that it transcends morality and becomes something almost holy. The demons break. They flee. For the first time in 6 days, the line holds not because of courage, but because the enemy is afraid. 300 miles away, in the agri-districts where refugees huddle in burned-out temples, another figure walks among the dying. Kratos moves through the ruins with the calm of someone who has seen civilizations fall before. The people hear farmers, children, the elderly cower as he approaches. They see his scars, his ash-white skin, the blades chained to his forearms, and they assume he is a demon. But then a cultist warband emerges from the smoke, dragging captives for sacrifice. They chant in the tongue of chaos, their eyes mad with devotion, their bodies mutated by the gifts of the dark gods. Kratos stops walking. He turns toward them slowly, and his voice cuts through their chanting like a blade through silk.
Release them. The cultists laugh.
One of them, a champion bearing the mark of corn, steps forward, axe raised.
And if we refuse, demon, what will you? Kratos moves.
The Leviathan axe splits the champion from skull to sternum before the sentence finishes. The cultist's laughter dies.
What follows is not a massacre.
It is a lesson.
Kratos does not fight with rage.
He fights with discipline, each strike measured, each kill necessary. The blades of chaos ignite, their chains singing as they wrap around throats and limbs.
He is not cruel. He does not torture.
But he is thorough, and when the last cultist falls, the refugees realize something astonishing.
He has not harmed a single civilian.
An old woman approaches him, braver or more desperate than the rest. She looks up at the Ghost of Sparta, at the Godslayer standing in the ruins of her world, and she whispers a question. "Are you one of the Emperor's angels?"
Kratos looks down at her.
His expression is unreadable, ancient sorrow mixed with something that might be pity.
No. He says nothing else.
He simply walks away, deeper into the war-torn districts, toward the sounds of more fighting. The Imperium responds with predictable paranoia. Inquisitorial teams are dispatched immediately. Psychers are brought in to assess the anomalies. Tech priests scramble to analyze armor fragments, weapon signatures, anything that might explain what has arrived on Tertius IX. The reports are contradictory and terrifying. The first figure-designated subject Alpha appears to be a transhuman warrior of unknown chapter. His armor bears no heraldry, no purity seals, no litanies. His weapons are archaeotech beyond imperial classification.
He does not speak.
He does not acknowledge authority. He simply kills with efficiency that rivals the Adeptus Astartes. Psychers who attempt to read his soul report the same phenomenon, a void. Not the blank emptiness of a null, but an absence shaped like hatred and emotion so concentrated it has collapsed into something beyond feeling. One psycher bleeds from her eyes and whispers, "He is rage wearing skin." The second figure-designated subject Batates, classified as a potential demon prince or Xenos warlord. His physiology is humanoid but impossibly resilient. His skin is ash-white, marked with scars that form patterns no imperial database recognizes. His weapons radiate energies that match neither chaos nor known Xenos tech. But psychers who touch his soul report something even more disturbing. Divinity. Not the distant, cold divinity of the god Emperor, but something older, warmer, and infinitely more tragic. One psycher goes catatonic and, upon waking, simply says, "He killed his gods. He killed them because he loved them." The Inquisition makes its decision.
Both subjects are to be contained, studied,
If possible, weaponized.
if not, destroyed.
Tertius IX is declared under quarantine.
Astartes reinforcements are requested.
The guardsmen who fought alongside Subject Alpha are interrogated, mind-scrubbed, and assigned to penal legions. And deep in the Underhive, in the ruins of what was once a cathedral, Doomguy and Kratos are surrounded by 200 armed soldiers, 3 Astartes scout teams, and an Inquisitor in power armor. The Inquisitor speaks through a vox-amplified helmet. "You will submit to imperial authority, or you will be destroyed."
Kratos looks at the Slayer.
The Slayer looks back. Neither man moves to surrender. The detention facility is a fortress within a fortress 3 miles beneath Tertius IX's primary hive. Encased in adamantium and layered with psychic suppression fields powerful enough to contain a rogue psyker or minor demon. The Inquisition has brought worse things here. They have interrogated traitors, vivisected Xenos, and broken the minds of heretics too stubborn to confess. But they have never held anything quite like this. Subject Alpha Doomguy is restrained in a reinforced cell designed for captured Chaos Space Marines. Magnalocks pin his armor to the walls. Power suppressors hum at frequencies meant to disrupt archaeotech. Auspex arrays scan him constantly, searching for weaknesses, categorizing threats. He stands motionless.
Sue! Waiting.
The tech priests who examine him are baffled. His armor is a technological marvel, power systems that operate on principles the Adeptus Mechanicus cannot fathom. materials that resist plasma cutters and molecular analysis. When they attempt to remove a gauntlet, the armor's machine spirit, if it even is a machine spirit, electrocutes 3 servitors into catatonia. They try to communicate. They broadcast in binary, in Gothic, in the dead languages of Old Night. Doomguy says nothing. He does not acknowledge them. His visor stares straight ahead, and behind that visor only one thought burns. How many seconds until he breaks free? One tech priest, bolder or more foolish than the rest, approaches with a data probe. Subject Alpha, we mean you no harm. We seek only understanding. Your technology could serve the Omnissiah. Your strength could serve the Emperor. If you would simply...
The Slayer's head turns.
Just slightly. Just enough. The tech priest stumbles backward, his mechadendrites twitching in what might be fear. He will later report to his superiors that Subject Alpha possesses no warp presence, no psychic signature, nothing that should inspire terror.
And yet...
3 floors above, in a chamber lined with hexagrammic wards and null-field generators, Kratos sits in a chair built to hold a demon prince. Chains blessed by a dozen cardinals bind his arms. Psychic dampeners press against his temples.
A picked caster records everything.
Inquisitor Valdain enters, a man who has spent 40 years hunting the enemies of the Imperium, a veteran of the Ecclesiad War, a Puritan who believes that mercy is the first step toward damnation. He looks at Kratos with the cold assessment of a man evaluating a weapon.
Subject Beta, you will answer my questions or you will be executed as a demon. Kratos meets his game.
The Ghost of Sparta has been interrogated by gods. He has been judged by furies. He has stood trial in the courts of Olympus and emerged bloodied but unbroken. An Inquisitor, no matter how powerful, is just another man. Ask your questions. Valdain nods to his staff. A psyker steps forward, a sanctioned witch, her eyes milky white, her mind trained to pierce lies. She reaches out with her psychic senses brushing against Kratos' soul.
She gasps, stumbles.
Blood drips from her nose. Inquisitor, his soul, it burns. It is not chaos. It is not Xenos. It is... She struggles for words. It is divine, but not our divinity. He is God-touched, but the gods that touched him are dead. He killed them. Valdain's expression does not change.
Then he is a godslayer, a heretic of the highest order.
Kratos almost smiles.
You worship a corpse on a throne. What does that make you?
The chamber goes silent. 3 guards raise their weapons. Valdain raises a hand, stopping them. You know nothing of the God Emperor? I know dead gods, Kratos replies quietly.
I have killed enough of them.
The psyker reaches deeper, and this time she sees. Visions of Olympus burning, of Kratos tearing Ares apart with his bare hands, of Zeus impaled on the blade of Olympus, of an entire pantheon collapsing because one man refused to be their slave. She pulls back, trembling.
He is not lying.
Valdain considers this. In the Imperium, there are protocols for everything heresy, Xenos contact, warp corruption.
But there is no protocol for this.
No contingency for warriors who have slain their own gods and lived.
Why did you save the civilians?
Valdain asks finally. Kratos looks at him for a long moment. Because they were innocent. There is no innocence in the Imperium, only degrees of guilt. Then your Imperium is broken.
It is not said with anger. It is not even said with judgment.
It is simply a statement of fact, delivered with the certainty of someone who has seen empires rise and fall. Valdain's jaw tightens. You are dangerous. Yes. You cannot be controlled. No. Then you cannot be allowed to exist.
Kratos says nothing. He simply waits.
He has been sentenced to death before.
It rarely takes.
In the observation chamber overlooking both detention cells, a council convenes. Inquisitors, tech priests, Astartes observers, senior officers of the Astra Militarum. They review the data combat footage, psycho reports, theological assessments.
The debate is fierce. Some argue for weaponization.
Subject Alpha's kill efficiency surpasses even veteran Astartes. Subject Beta's strength and resilience could turn the tide of entire campaigns. If they could be controlled, if they could be aimed at the enemies of the Imperium, others argue for immediate execution. Unknown variables cannot be tolerated. The Imperium has survived for 10,000 years by eliminating threats before they metastasize. Better to destroy potential allies than risk potential enemies. An Astarte observer, a librarian from the Storm Warden's chapter, speaks quietly. I have walked the battlefields they fought on. I have seen what they did. Subject Alpha eradicated demons with permanence we cannot replicate. Subject Beta defended civilians without hesitation, even when tactically disadvantageous. They are not corrupted. They are not our enemies.
An Inquisitor sneers.
They are not Imperial. That alone makes them suspect. They saved Imperial lives. So does a guard dog until it goes rabid. The debate continues for hours. Reports are filed. Councils within councils convene. The Administratum's bureaucratic machinery grinds slowly, processing the impossible. And deep below, in their separate cells, Doomguy and Kratos wait. The Slayer's fists clench and unclench.
Testing the restraints.
Calculating angles.
Planning. Kratos closes his eye.
He has been imprisoned before.
Chains cannot hold him.
Gods could not hold him. Men certainly will not. The Inquisition delivers its verdict at dawn.
Execution.
Both subject.
Immediate.
The attack comes at the moment of transition, that brief window, when Tertius IX defenses are reorganized. When guard rotations shift, when attention lapses for just a heartbeat. It is a moment that should not exist. The Imperium is built on redundancy, on overlapping fields of fire, on paranoia refined into doctrine.
But chaos has been watching.
And chaos is patient when it needs to be. The warp rifts open simultaneously across 12 locations. Not the massive tiers that herald full-scale invasions, but surgical incisions, precise wounds in reality that allow strike teams to pour through before the Imperium can respond.
Demons manifest inside secured zones.
Cultists emerge from hiding, shedding their human disguises like snakes shedding skin. And the primary target is not the planetary governor, not the Astra Militarum Command Center, not the starport. It is the detention facility 3 miles beneath the hive. The orders are clear. Capture the 2 anomalies.
Bring them to the warp. Let the gods decide their fate.
The first wave hits the outer defenses like a battering ram wrapped in madness.
Bloodletters tear through armored doors.
Plague bearers vomit corrosion onto weapon emplacements. Pink horrors cackle as they immolate guard stations with warp fire. The Defender's veteran guardsmen and Tempestus Science fight with the discipline of soldiers who know death is preferable to capture. They die to the last man within 6 minutes. The second wave descends into the detention levels.
Demonettes slither through ventilation shaft.
Chaos Space Marines renegades from a dozen broken chapters advance with bolters roaring. A sorcerer of Tzinch unravels the facility's psychic wards with contemptuous ease, his laughter echoing through the Vox network.
Alarms scream.
Bulkheads slam shut. Automated turrets swivel and fire, but demon flesh knits back together faster than bullets can tear it apart.
And then the facility's power grid dies.
Emergency lighting flickers on red and dim. The psychic suppression fields collapse. The Magnalocks holding Doomguy's armor to the walls deactivate with a mechanical whine. The Slayer's eyes open behind his visor. 3 seconds later, his restraints are gone, ripped apart with transhuman strength. 5 seconds after that, he has retrieved his weapons from the evidence locker, tearing through 3 bulkheads to reach them. The Praetor suit systems reboot fully, and the HUD lights up with target markers. Hostile signatures, 127 and climbing.
Doomguy checks his shotgun, loads a fresh shell.
And then he walks toward the screaming. 3 floors above, the wards around Kratos' chamber shatter. The blessed chains begin to smoke, their holy inscriptions reacting to the surge of chaos corruption flooding the facility. An inquisitorial guard bursts through the door, his uniform scorched, his eyes wide with panic. They're coming. Chaos forces are.
He does not finish the sentence.
A bloodletter's blade punches through his chest from behind, lifting him off his feet. The demon steps over the corpse, its brass armor slick with blood, its eyes locked on Kratos. "God's Ol!" it rasps in a voice like grinding metal.
Khorne demands you. You will kneel, or you will. Kratos breaks the chains. It is not a slow process. It is not dramatic.
He simply flexes, and the blessed steel shatters like glass. The demon has time to register surprise before the Leviathan axe buries itself in its skull.
Kratos rises, rolling his shoulders.
The blades of chaos manifest in his hands, their chains burning. He looks at the growing tide of demons pouring through the breach, and his expression does not change.
Come then.
The facility becomes a war zone. Doomguy fights his way up from the lower levels, turning corridors into abattoirs.
His super shotgun removes demons in pairs.
His chainsaw roars through plague marines, splitting ceramite and corrupted flesh with equal ease. When a Chaos Terminator blocks his path, a hulking warrior in armor that has waged war for millennia, the Slayer does not slow. He charges, drives the crucible through the Terminator's torso, and lifts the dying warrior off the ground before tossing him aside like refuse. The demons realize their mistake too late. They came to capture a weapon. They did not understand they were walking into a slaughterhouse. Kratos carves a path downward toward the sounds of battle, toward the concentration of chaos forces. The blades of chaos sing in his hands, their chains wrapping around limbs and throats, pulling demons into range for execution. A bloodthirster descends from above, wings spread, axe raised. Kratos leaps to meet. They collide in mid-array god against demon, and the impact shatters stone. The bloodthirster swings its axe. Kratos catches the haft, plants his feet, and headbutts the demon with enough force to crack its skull. It staggers, disbelieving, and Kratos uses that moment to drive both blades through its chest. The bloodthirster roars.
Not in rage.
In pain. It collapses, and its essence burns away into nothing.
Permanent death.
True death. And then, in a corridor lit by emergency lights and demon fire, the two warriors meet again.
Doomguy rounds a corner, shotgun raised. Kratos stands at the other end, covered in ichor and ash.
For a moment, neither moves. Then Kratos nods toward the stairwell behind him.
More are coming.
Doomguy checks his ammo counter.
Nods one.
They turn to face the enemy together.
What follows is not a battle.
It is a symphony of violence. Doomguy's weapons lay down suppressing fire shotgun blasts that clear entire corridors, rockets that vaporize clustered demons. Kratos moves in his wake, finishing wounded enemies with brutal efficiency, using his axe to control space and his blades to execute stragglers. They do not speak.
They do not plan.
But they move in synchronization, Doomguy's relentless aggression complemented by Kratos' disciplined fury. When a demon prince materializes, wings spread and sword raised, Doomguy distracts it with sustained fire while Kratos closes the distance and severs its legs at the knee.
The demon falls.
The Slayer drives the crucible through its skull.
The chaos forces break.
Not in retreat, but in something worse, in terror. Demons who know no fear suddenly understand what it means to be prey. Chaos Space Marines, veterans of the Long War, flee before two warriors who should not exist. And above, in the command center where Inquisitor Valdane watches through flickering pict feeds, the assessment changes in real time. They are not prisoners. They are not weapons to be controlled. They are apocalypse events walking in human skin. Valdane's hand hovers over the detonation rune, the failsafe that will collapse the entire facility, burying everything in 3 miles of rock. He hesitates. And then Subject Alpha and Subject Beta appear on the main screen, standing back to back in a chamber filled with demon corpses. They are covered in blood and worse things, their weapons still smoking.
And then they look up,
directly at the Pictcaster,
as if they know they are being watched.
Valdane's hand moves away from the detonation rune. "Send in the Astartes," he says quietly.
Now!
The Astartes arrive like the wrath of the Emperor made manifest, 3 full squads dropping from Thunderhawk gunships, their boots striking the fortress grounds with the synchronized thunder of a war drum. They are crimson fists, Veterans of 1,000 battlefields, gene-forged warriors who have held the line against Xeno's horrors and traitor legions alike. Their armor is scarred but immaculate. Their weapons are blessed.
Their faith is unshakable.
They form a perimeter around the detention facility's entrance, a wall of ceramite and bolter barrels and weight. Captain Alessio Cortez steps forward, his power fist crackling with energy, his face a mask of battle-worn authority. He has fought Orkwags and Tyrannid hive fleets. He has dueled Chaos champions and lived. He does not know fear, but he knows caution. The facility doors buckle, then explode outward. Doomguy walks through the smoke first, shotgun in hand, armor scorched and dented, but still functional. Behind him, Kratos emerges, axe resting on one shoulder, blades coiled at his sides. They are covered in demon blood ichor that still smokes and hisses as it evaporates. The Astartes raise their weapons. 20 bolters trained on 2 targets. Cortez's voice booms through his helmet's vox speakers. You will stand down. You will surrender your weapons. You will submit to the Emperor's justice. Doomguy stops walking, stares at the Astartes. Kratos stops beside him, studies the transhuman warriors. With the calm of someone evaluating an opponent, neither man moves to disarm. Cortez takes a step forward. I have my orders. You have slain demons and saved Imperial lives, and for that, you have earned a quick death rather than interrogation. Do not make me grant you a slow one. Kratos speaks quietly. We are not your enemies. You are not Imperial. That makes you suspect. We killed Chaos. So do we.
Daily.
Cortez's power fist hums louder. Last warning. Doomguy's response is to chamber a round in his shotgun. Not aiming. Just ready.
The standoff holds for 3 heart.
He sees Doomguy's movement as a threat. He fires. The bolter round crosses the distance in a fraction of a second. It is a mass-reactive shell designed to punch through armor and detonate inside the target. It has killed traitor. Marines and Xenos warlords. Doomguy moves his head 6 inches to the left. The round passes by his helmet and detonates against the wall behind him. The Slayer looks at the Astartes who fired. His helmet's visor reflects nothing, reveals nothing, and then he moves. What follows is not a battle between enemies. It is a test, a collision of philosophies. A measurement of strength against strength. Doomguy does not use lethal force. He does not draw the crucible, but he moves through the Astartes like a force of nature, disarming, disabling, demonstrating that gene-forged transhuman warriors are not the apex of combat evolution. He dodges bolter fire that should be undodgeable. He parries a chainsword with his gauntlet, the teeth screaming against his armor. When an Astartes tries to grapple him, the Slayer breaks the hold and counters with a throw that sends a 7-foot-tall superhuman flying through the air. Cortez watches for exactly 4 seconds. Then he charges.
Captain of the Crimson Fists is not a novice. He has fought for over 2 centuries. His power fist swings in an arc designed to remove Doomguy's.
Steps inside Cortez's guard and delivers an uppercut that lifts the Astartes off his feet. Cortez crashes down, his armor systems rebooting from the impact. He rises slowly, and for the first time in decades, he feels something unfamiliar. Respect. On the other side of the courtyard, Kratos faces a different challenge. A chaplain steps forward, Brother Lucian, keeper of the chapter's spiritual rites, bearer of the Crozius Arcanum. He looks at Kratos and sees not just a warrior, but something older, something that reminds him of the saints and martyrs depicted in the chapter's most ancient texts. You carry the weight of divine murder, Lucian says quietly. I can see it in your eyes.
Kratos meets his gaze.
Do you regret it? No. The chaplain considers this, then he raises his Crozius. Then prove you are worth the mercy you ask. He attacks not with rage, but with discipline. Each strike is precise. Each movement economical. The Crozius Arcanum is a weapon that has blessed battlefields and executed heretics. Its power field crackles as it swings toward Kratos' skull. Kratos blocks with the Leviathan axe. The impact sends a shockwave through the courtyard.
Cracking stone, they exchange blows.
Kratos does not use his full strength. He does not need to. He simply demonstrates that the Astartes, for all their enhancement, are still bound by the limits of their creation. He is not. The chaplain swings low. Kratos leaps, planting a boot on the chaplain's shoulder, using the momentum to vault over him. He lands, spins, and sweeps the chaplain's legs. Lucian crashes down, and Kratos stands over him, axe raised, but he does not strike. "You fight with honor," Kratos says quietly. "That is rare." Lucian stares up at him. "What are you?" "A father."
A warrior.
"A fool who thought killing gods would bring peace." The chaplain rises slowly. He looks at Kratos for a long moment, and then he lowers his crozius. "You are not chaos."
No.
"But you are not Imperial."
No.
Lucian turns to Cortez, who has regained his feet. "Captain, I recommend we stand down." Cortez looks at Doomguy, who stands amid incapacitated Astartes, none killed, but all disabled. He looks at Kratos, who still holds his axe but has made no move to finish the chaplain. The captain makes a decision that will be debated in Crimson Fist's war councils for decades. "Lower your weapons." The Astartes obey, though reluctance radiates from every movement. Cortez steps forward, removing his helmet. His face is scarred, weathered, the face of a man who has seen the galaxy's horrors and refused to blink. "I do not know what you are. I do not know where you came from. But I have fought for 200 years, and I know warriors when I see them." He extends a gauntleted hand. "The Imperium may condemn you, but the Crimson Fists recognize strength and honor." Kratos looks at the offered hand, then at Doomguy. The Slayer nods once. Kratos shakes Cortez's hand. "We want no war with you." "Then we have a problem," Cortez says grimly. "Because the Inquisition, though the inquisitorial verdict arrives via encrypted astropathic transmission, its message burning through the warp with the cold certainty of doctrine."
It is not a debate. It is not a request.
It is a decree sealed with the authority of the Ordo Malleus and countersigned by 3 Inquisitor lords whose names alone have ended planetary governments. The order is simple: total erasure. Subject Alpha and Subject Beta represent an unclassifiable threat to Imperial orthodoxy. They have displayed power that rivals the Adeptus Astartes. They have killed demons with permanence that the Imperium cannot replicate. They possess knowledge of realities beyond the Emperor's light.
And most damning of all, they cannot be controlled.
The Imperium of man has survived 10,000 years not through tolerance, but through ruthless pragmatism. It has exterminated alien species, purged entire sectors, and condemned trillions to maintain ideological purity. 2 anomalous warriors, no matter how effective, are not worth the risk of doctrinal contamination. Better to destroy potential allies than risk potential heresy. Inquisitor Valdane reads the transmission 3 times, his face betraying nothing. Around him, his staff waits interrogators, warrior acolytes, tech priests. They have served him for decades.
They know the signs.
"Issue the order," Valdane says quietly. "Sanction pattern Omega-7, orbital bombardment. Collateral damage is acceptable."
An aide hesitates.
"My lord, the Crimson Fists are still on site," Captain Cortez has reported. "Captain Cortez will follow his orders or be investigated for dereliction." Valdane's voice is ice. "This is not a negotiation." The transmission goes out, and across Tertius IX, the machinery of Imperial judgment begins to turn. In the fortress courtyard, Captain Cortez receives the order via direct Vox link. He listens in silence, his expression unreadable. When the transmission ends, he does not move for several seconds. His battle brothers watch him.
Waiting.
"Captain?" Brother Lucian, the chaplain, steps closer.
What are our orders?
Cortez looks at Doomguy and Kratos, who stand 30 meters away, watching the Astartes with the calm of warriors who have weathered betrayals before.
We are ordered to execute them.
Cortez's voice is flat.
Immediately, by any means necessary.
The courtyard goes silent. Brother Lucian's hand drifts toward his crozius. "Captain, they fought beside us against chaos. They saved Imperial lives. I am aware. They are not our enemies. The Inquisition disagrees. A younger Astartes speaks up, Brother Tomas, barely a century old. With respect, Captain, the Inquisition was not here. They did not see what we saw. These warriors are not corrupted. Cortez turns to face his battle brothers. The Inquisition does not care what we saw. They care about order, about control, about ensuring that nothing exists which does not kneel to the Emperor's will.
He pauses.
They are not wrong, but they are not right, Lucian says quietly. The captain looks at his old friend.
No, they are not.
For a long moment, the crimson fists stand frozen, caught between duty to the Inquisition and honor forged in battle.
It is a choice that has destroyed chapters before.
A choice that has no clean answer.
Cortez makes his decision. We will not execute them.
His voice is firm. But neither will we disobey a direct inquisitorial order. We will delay equipment malfunction, vox interference, the confusion of battle. Brother Lucian understands immediately. And if the Inquisition investigates, then I will take full responsibility. Cortez looks at each of his battle brothers. Any man who wishes to follow the letter of the order may do so. I will not hold it against you. None of the Astartes move to raise their weapons.
Cortez nods once.
Then we give them a chance to escape. He walks toward Doomguy and Kratos. The two warriors watch him approach, weapons ready but not raised. The Inquisition has ordered your execution, Cortez says bluntly. Orbital strike inbound. You have approximately 14 minutes. Kratos' expression does not change. You are disobeying orders. I am interpreting them creatively. Why? Cortez is silent for a moment. Because I have fought for 2 centuries, and I have learned to recognize the difference between an enemy and an inconvenience to bureaucrats. He gestures toward the starport. There is a cargo hauler in Bay 7, old, barely functional, but it has a warp drive. If you move now, you can reach it before the bombardment begins.
Doomguy looks at Kratos.
Some unspoken communication passes between them. Kratos nods to Cortez. We will remember this. I do not want your gratitude. I want you gone before I am forced to choose between honor and duty. Cortez's jaw tightens.
Go, now!
They move.
But the Inquisition is not slow.
And the Inquisition is not merciful.
As Doomguy and Kratos sprint toward the starport, alarms scream across the fortress.
Not just warnings, attack sirens.
A second chaos incursion, timed perfectly to coincide with the execution order.
It is not coincidence.
The warp has been watching. The chaos gods, denied their prizes once, will not be denied again. Reality tears open across the starport district. Demons pour through bloodletters, demonettes, horrors, and worse things. Leading them is a chaos sorcerer in Terminator plate, his armor etched with runes that bleed reality. His voice booms across the Vox network, laced with unnatural harmonics. The Godslayer and the Eternal Warrior belong to chaos. Surrender them, or watch your world burn.
The Astartes respond instantly.
Bolters roar. Heavy weapons teams open fire. The Crimson Fists form a firing line, determined to hold the starport long enough for evacuation. But the sorcerer raises a staff, and the sky splits open. A greater demon manifests, Lord of Change, its wings spanning 200 feet, its eyes burning with the knowledge of forbidden futures. It laughs, and the sound shatters windows across 3 districts.
Sinch sees all. The anomalies cannot escape their fate.
Doomguy and Kratos skid to a halt. Between them and Bay 7 stands an army of demons. The Slayer checks his ammo. Kratos rolls his shoulders. They have been in worse situations.
Barely.
And then Captain Cortez appears at their side, power fist crackling.
I suppose delaying is no longer an option. Brother Lucian joins him, Crozius raised.
For honor.
The rest of the Crimson Fists form up behind them.
Not because the Inquisition ordered it. Not because doctrine demands it. Because warriors recognize warriors.
And some oaths transcend paper and politics.
Cortez looks at Doomguy and Kratos.
Get to that ship. We will buy you time.
Kratos stares at him.
You will die. We are Astartes. We die well.
Cortez grins a savage, feral expression.
Now go, and when you are free, remember that the Imperium is more than its Inquisition. The Astartes charge. And in the chaos of battle, amid the roar of bolters and the screams of demons, Doomguy and Kratos run for the Starport 2 legends racing toward freedom, leaving behind warriors who chose honor over orders. Above, the orbital bombardment begins its countdown.
8 minutes remaining.
Bay 7 is a tomb of rust and broken dreams, a hangar filled with derelict cargo haulers, salvaged scows, and ships so old their machine spirits have long since given up hope of flight. The air reeks of promethium and despair. Servitors shuffle through the debris, half aware of the sirens screaming overhead. Doomguy and Kratos burst through the main doors at a dead sprint, and the world explodes behind them. A demon prince crashes through the hangar roof, a towering fusion of muscle, brass, and warp-twisted flesh. Its wings spread wide, casting shadows that seem to move independently of light. Its sword is the length of a chimera transport, dripping molten rage. It sees them and roars in a voice that is every scream ever uttered in battle.
Blood for the blood god.
Doomguy does not break stride. He raises his rocket launcher mid-sprint and fires. The missile hits the demon prince center mass, detonating in a fireball that would vaporize a tank. The demon staggers, laughs,
And charges.
Kratos veers left, the Leviathan axe already in motion. He hurls it with the strength of a god, and the weapon spins through the air, trailing frost. It buries itself in the demon's knee, and the joint locks solid flash-frozen muscle and tendon. The demon prince crashes down, and Doomguy is already there. The crucible ignites in his hands, a blade of pure argent energy, and he drives it through the demon's skull. The creature's roar becomes a scream, then silence, then nothing. Its body collapses into ash, erased from existence.
3 seconds. 1 demon prince. Permanent death. But there is no time to savor the kill.
The hangar doors buckle as more demons pour through, a flood of claws and teeth and madness. Bloodletters.
Plague bearers.
Pink horrors cackling with pyromaniacal glee. And behind them, the Chaos Sorcerer floats into the hangar, his staff glowing with eldritch power. "You cannot run from fate," he intones, his voice layered with whispers from the warp. "The architect of change has seen your threads. Every path you take leads to servitude. Every future ends in chaos." Kratos draws the blades of chaos, their chains rattling.
I have killed fate before.
The sorcerer laughs. "Mortal gods are not the powers. Your Olympus was a candle. Chaos is the sun. Then let me snuff it out." He moves. Spartan rage ignites a surge of divine fury that burns through his veins like liquid fire.
His skin glows with heat.
His eyes burn gold. The blades of chaos ignite with flames that belong to no earthly hell, and he becomes what he has always been beneath the restraint. A god of war. Kratos tears into the demon horde with brutal efficiency. The blades whirl in arcs of flame, their chains extending impossibly, wrapping around limbs and throats. He pulls demons toward him, executes them with precision, and moves to the next target without pause. A plague-bearer lunges with rusted claws. Kratos catches its wrist, snaps the arm, and drives his fist through its skull.
A horror attempts to immolate him.
He walks through the flames and tears it in half. And all the while he advances toward the sorcerer. On the other side of the hangar, Doomguy fights his own war. His super shotgun roars, each blast removing clusters of demons. His chainsaw screams, cutting through warp flesh like tissue paper. When a bloodletter closes distance, he meets it with a glory kill, grabbing its horned head and twisting until the spine snaps. The demons keep coming. They always keep coming. But the Slayer has been fighting hell for eons. This is just another Tuesday. A Chaos Terminator steps into his path, a corrupted Astartes clad in ancient armor, its weapons blessed by the dark gods. It raises a combi bolter and fires on full auto. Doomguy dashes forward, moving faster than the Terminator's targeting system can track. He slides under the bolter fire, comes up inside the Terminator's guard, and drives the crucible upward through its torso. The Terminator's last thought is disbelief.
Then nothing. Across the hangar, Kratos reaches the sorcerer.
The Chaos Champion raises a warp-infused shield, confident in his protections, in the blessings of T-Sync.
Kratos throws the Leviathan axe.
The weapon punches through the shield like it is paper, buries itself in the sorcerer's shoulder, and pins him to the wall. The champion screams, trying to summon warp fire, trying to teleport, trying anything. Kratos is already there. The blades of chaos wrap around the sorcerer's throat. "Your gods are cowards," Kratos says quietly. "They hide behind servants. The gods I killed faced me themselves." He pulls.
Hard.
The sorcerer's head comes free, trailing warp energy in disbelief. The remaining demons falter. Without the sorcerer's binding rituals, their anchors to reality weaken. They begin to flicker, to fade. Doomguy and Kratos stand back to back amid the carnage, breathing hard, covered in ichor and ash. "The ship," Kratos says. Doomguy nods. They sprint toward the cargo hauler, a battered vessel that looks like it survived the Horus Heresy and regretted it. The boarding ramp is down. The engines are, miraculously, already warming up.
They do not question the miracle. They run.
But the universe has one more surprise. As they reach the ramp, the Lord of Change descends, the greater demon that manifested earlier, its impossible form blotting out the hangar's lights. Its 9 eyes lock onto them, and it speaks in a voice that is every possible future collapsing into one terrible present.
"You cannot escape. I have seen your ends. I have watched you die 1,000,000,000,000 ways."
Doomguy stops, turns,
raises his BFG 9000.
The weapon hums as it charges a sound like the universe holding its breath. Green energy coalesces in the barrel, a concentration of argent power that should not exist outside Hell's foundries. The Lord of Change sees the future,
Sees the shock. Sees its death.
and for the first time in its eternal existence, it feels something other than smug omniscience.
It feels fear.
The BFG fires. The blast is not a projectile, it is an erasure. A sphere of energy that consumes everything in its path, unraveling warp stuff at the molecular level. The Lord of Change has time to scream. Then it is gone.
Not banished. Not wounded.
Gone. The hangar is silent except for the cargo hauler's engines.
Kratos looks at Doomguy. "What was that weapon?"
The Slayer just shrugs and walks up the boarding ramp. Kratos follows, and the ramp seals behind them. Outside, Captain Cortez and his crimson fists hold the perimeter bolters roaring, blades flashing. Transhuman warriors fighting with the desperate courage of those buying time with their lives. Cortez sees the cargo hauler's engines ignite.
Sees it lift off, ungainly but functional.
He grins.
"Fly well, strangers."
And then he returns to the battle, knowing he has done the right thing, even if the Inquisition will never forgive him. The cargo hauler clears the atmosphere just as the orbital bombardment hits. Lances of superheated plasma scour the starport, erasing everything: demons, cultists, evidence.
And 2 legends escape into the void.
The cargo hauler limps through the void, its engines coughing promethium exhaust like an elderly man coughing blood. Warning lights flicker across the cockpit hull: breaches, reactor instability, life support at 30% efficiency. The machine spirit, if it still exists, has long since given up complaining. Doomguy sits in the pilot's seat, not because he knows how to fly, but because someone has to. His fingers move across controls that were designed for humans half his size, and somehow, improbably, the ship responds. The Praetor suit systems interface with the ship's cogitators, translating archaic Imperial code into something the Slayer can understand. Kratos stands at the viewport, watching Tertius the Ninth shrink behind them. The planet glows in places where orbital strikes have turned entire continents into glass. Fires rage unchecked across hive cities. The warp rifts are collapsing, but the damage is done. Another world bleeding. Another civilization scarred. He has seen it before. Olympus burned the same way when he shattered the Pantheon. Midgard nearly fell when his rage unleashed Ragnarok. Everywhere he walks, destruction follows, not because he seeks it, but because the universe insists on conflict. "It never ends," Kratos says quietly. Doomguy does not respond. He never does. But something in the set of his shoulders suggests agreement. They are silent for a long time. Two warriors who have fought more battles than most civilizations record in their histories. The ship rattles around them, held together by rust and stubbornness. Finally, Kratos speaks again. "Where will we go?" Doomguy pulls up a navigational charta map of the sector, glowing green on the cracked display. Dozens of systems. Hundreds of worlds. All of them embroiled in wars, orc invasions, Tyranid incursions, chaos uprisings, internecine imperial conflicts. The galaxy is a vast machine built to produce suffering.
And it never stops running.
The Slayer points to a system at random. A frontier world under siege by traitor forces.
Another battlefield. Another war.
Kratos looks at the designation and almost smiles.
Of course.
Because what else would they do?
They are not diplomat. They are not builders.
They are weapons, honed by loss and rage and the simple, terrible truth that the only language they speak fluently is violence.
But there is something different now. Something neither of them has had in a long time. An ally.
Not a friend that is too gentle a word for what they are. Not brothers they are too different, forged in too many separate hells.
But something close to understanding.
A recognition that they are the same kind of broken, the same kind of relentless. Doomguy has fought alone for so long that loneliness became armor. Kratos has carried his sins in silence because no one else could bear the weight. But now, sitting in this dying ship as it drifts through the void, they are not alone. The Vox system crackles to life. Static, then a voice damaged, distorted, but unmistakably Captain Cortez. "Unknown vessel, this is Captain Alessio Cortez of the Crimson Fists, transmitting on all Imperial frequencies. If you are listening, know this.
You saved lives today. The Inquisition will...
The Imperium will brand you traitors. But there are warriors among us who know the difference between duty and dogma. If you ever need allies, seek the Crimson Fists. We pay our debts." The transmission cuts off.
Kratos looks at Doomguy.
He is a good man. His Imperium does not deserve him. Doomguy's helmet tilts slightly. Agreement. The ship's warp drive begins to charge a process that should take hours but is somehow accelerating. The cogitators display warnings in high Gothic, alarms that neither warrior can read. And then, without warning, the ship lurches. Reality fractures around them, not the violent tearing of a chaos rift, but a controlled transition. The cargo hauler slips sideways into the Imperium, entering the warp. It should be suicide. Ships without Geller fields are consumed instantly, their crews driven mad or worse. But something is different. The warp churns outside the viewport, its maddening colors pressing against the glass. Demons sense the ship, begin to swarm toward it and then stop. They circle at a distance, like sharks circling prey they recognize as more dangerous than they are. Because inside the ship are two beings the warp has learned to fear. Kratos watches the demons and feels nothing. He has walked through Helheim. The warp is just another underworld, and he has conquered worse. Doomguy cleans his shotgun, methodical and calm.
Hell itself could not break him. This pale imitation does not even register.
The ship drifts through the Sea of Souls, piloted by a warrior who does not know how to fly and protected by a godslayer who does not know how to fail. Hours pass.
Or days. Time is negotiable in the warp.
Eventually, the ship tears back into reality, emerging above a new world. The scanners show a planet under siege chaos warbands, traitor guard, demonic incursions.
Another war. Another battlefield. Kratos picks up his axe. Ready?
Doomguy chambers around in his shotgun. Nods once. The cargo hauler begins its descent, trailing fire and defiance. Below, chaos forces celebrate their imminent victory, unaware that two impossibilities are about to crash into their war.
Two legends. Two myths.
Two warriors who have killed gods and demons and everything in between. And the galaxy, this vast, uncaring machine of eternal worries, about to learn a simple truth. Some wars are fought by soldiers.
Some wars are fought by heroes. But this war?
This war just inherited 2 apocalypses walking in human skin. The cargo hauler's bay doors open. Doomguy and Kratos step to the edge, looking down at the burning world below. Somewhere in the warp, the chaos gods watch. And for once they are not smiling. Kratos asks one final question.
Where will this war end? Doomguy says nothing.
But his fist clenches slowly around his shotgun's grip, a gesture that needs no words. It ends when every demon is dead.
When every god is slain.
When there is nothing left to fight.
It ends now.
And for warriors like them, that is answer enough. They drop from the ship, 2 shadows falling toward fire and blood and war eternal. Legends descending into myth,